Cheptu's journey, a Kalenjin woman's initiation, marriage, and childbirth. In the heart of the Rift Valley, surrounded by green hills and whispering cypress trees, lived Cheptu, a young girl of the Kipsigis sub-tribe of the Kalenjin. She was known for her quick laughter and graceful dancing, and as she approached her teenage years, the village elders began to whisper, "It is time." The call to womanhood. The Kalenjin community deeply values rites of passage. For girls, initiation, tumdu, marks the sacred transition from childhood into womanhood, preparing them for life as wives, mothers, and caretakers of tradition. Cheptu's mother, Tapkendi, quietly informed her one morning, "You will join the others soon. Your time has come." That evening, Cheptu sat silently by the hearth, her heart pounding with mixed emotions, pride, fear, and curiosity. She had watched older girls return from the ceremony transformed, more composed, more respected. The seclusion and teaching. Before the actual rite, Cheptu and 5 other girls were taken to a secluded hut at the edge of the forest, watched over by elder women, respected matriarchs known as motiranik. They were not allowed to interact freely with the rest of the village. This period of seclusion would last for weeks. Each day, Cheptu was taught how to care for a homestead, milking cows, cooking for large families, and preserving food, wisdom and discipline, patience, humility, and the value of silence during conflict, sexual education and marital expectations, how to respect her husband, understand her body, and the sacredness of childbirth. Cultural knowledge, songs, proverbs, taboos, and prayers to Asis, the sun god. The Motorenik also told her stories of heroic Kalenjin women, those who held families together during wars, who gave birth in the forest, and returned to milk cows before sunset. The rite itself. On a cold early morning, before sunrise, the girls were woken and dressed in cloaks made of sheepskin. Their faces were painted with red ochre. The air was filled with murmured prayers. The ceremony was solemn and sacred. Depending on the specific Kalenjin community, the rite might involve symbolic acts such as scarification, physical endurance, or ritual cleansing. Not all involved physical circumcision, especially in later generations where practices evolved or were reinterpreted. The key was not the act itself, but the psychological transformation. Cheptu was required to sit still, to show courage and inner strength. Any sign of fear or weakness could bring shame. When she endured it all in silence, the women burst into song, "Cheptu, Cheptu, you are no longer a girl, you are a woman now." Return and recognition. After healing and completion of her training, Cheptu returned to her home. Her head was shaven clean, symbolizing rebirth, and she wore a beaded necklace gifted by her grandmother, who whispered, "You now carry the weight of generations." Reintroduction to society. Cheptu was dressed in fine traditional attire, with new beaded necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. Her hair was cleanly shaved to symbolize rebirth, and the village held a ceremony with song and celebration to welcome the new women. She returned to her home with a new name, Cheptumo, signifying her passage. From then on, she was treated with respect, dignity, and honor. She could join adult women in ceremonies, give counsel, and even be considered for courtship and marriage. Significance of the rite. The initiation rite was not just physical, it was deeply cultural and spiritual. It prepared Cheptu to carry the weight of womanhood, to uphold values and traditions, to care for a future family, and to preserve the dignity of her people. Though times have changed, and many modern Kalenjin women go through alternative rites without physical cutting, the core values, growth, dignity, identity, and womanhood, remain sacred. At the village celebration, boys looked at her differently. She was no longer a playful child, but a potential wife and mother. Elders greeted her with respect, and women invited her into the circle of adult conversations. Before marriage now considered eligible, Cheptu was courted by a young man named Kiplangat, a herder known for his calm voice and clever wit. His family sent elders to Cheptu's home, and once her family agreed, they began the koito, or bride negotiation. But Cheptu, now a woman with voice and vision, was consulted. She spoke privately to her mother. He is patient. He listens. I would build with him. And so, Cheptu's journey from a girl who giggled by the riverbanks to a woman ready for love and motherhood was complete, shaped by ritual, tradition, and deep-rooted identity. Cultural importance. The initiation rite was more than just a tradition. It was a form of education, empowerment, and social acknowledgement. It equipped women like Cheptu with knowledge, dignity, and the spiritual grounding to thrive as the backbone of the community. Cheptu's koito. After completing her initiation and gaining the respect of her community as a mature woman, Cheptu had blossomed into a graceful and wise young lady. When Kiplangat, a humble and hard-working man from a respected clan, asked to court her, the process of koito, the traditional Kalenjin marriage negotiation, began. Courtship and intentions. Kiplangat's interest wasn't sudden. He had watched Cheptu during community gatherings and admired her discipline, kindness, and respectful demeanor. As tradition required, he did not approach her directly. Instead, his father and uncles went to visit Cheptu's family, an early informal gesture known as kitab tumen, expressing interest. They came with symbolic gifts: sugar, tea leaves, and a small gourd of milk. This signified that their son's intentions were sincere, and they sought permission to formally propose marriage. Cheptu's family accepted the request, but not before consulting her in private. She spoke calmly to her mother. "I have observed Kiplangat. His words are few, but his actions speak. I accept planning the koito." With her agreement, both families set a date for koito, a day filled with negotiations, blessings, music, and celebration. Preparations began weeks in advance. Kiplangat's family gathered cows, goats, traditional honey beer, and blankets. Cheptu's family brewed mursik, fermented milk, prepared sour porridge, and cleaned their compound. Elders were selected from both clans to handle negotiations, known as AB negotiators. These were wise, articulate men and women who knew the customs and could maintain peace and dignity. The negotiation ceremony. On the morning of koito, Kiplangat's family arrived in a slow, respectful procession. They brought their gifts and walked with heads bowed as a sign of humility. They were welcomed with milk and warm greetings. The two families sat in circles, men on one side, women on another. The negotiation of bride price, dowry, or ketap chebyoset, began. It was not haggling, but a respectful back and forth where value was symbolic, not transactional. Cheptu's family might request several head of cattle, a few goats, blankets, and traditional clothing, small tokens for her mother and grandmother, like sugar, tea, or beads. Once an agreement was reached, both sides gave thanks, and a senior elder poured a bit of milk on the ground, invoking blessings from Asis, the sun god, and ancestral spirits. Blessings and advice. Next came the blessing ceremony. Elders took Cheptu aside and gave her deep, heartfelt advice about marriage. Be patient when you feel angry. Speak less when you are hurt. Your home is your pride. Guard it. Respect your husband, but never forget your own worth. Her mother sang a traditional lullaby that Cheptu had heard since childhood, this time with new meaning. It was a goodbye to girlhood. The elder women gave her special gifts, a woven bag, a cooking pot, and a decorated gourd for milk, symbols of her new role as a homemaker. Celebration. Once the formalities ended, the village erupted in song and dance. Young girls sang Kip Keukyu songs, and elders shared traditional beer and roasted meat. Kiplangat and Cheptu were seated together for the first time in public, dressed in traditional regalia, her in beads, a lesso wrap, and a cowhide cloak, him in a simple tunic with beadwork on his wrist. Everyone danced, blessed them, and offered prayers for fertility, peace, and prosperity. Transition after koito, Cheptu was officially considered a wife, though she might remain with her family until a second, smaller ceremony, or the payment of all agreed dowry, was completed. Eventually, she would move to Kiplangat's home, where she'd be welcomed by her mother-in-law and start her new life. Significance of koito for Cheptu, koito was not just about marriage. It was a rite of cultural affirmation. It represented unity between families and clans, a public recognition of her maturity and womanhood, a sacred entry into the role of wife, future mother, and homemaker, respect for tradition and blessings from elders and ancestors. It was a day of dignity, love, and purpose, a turning point in her life's journey. Cheptu's firstborn. Months after her marriage to Kiplangat, Cheptu noticed changes in her body. Elders smiled knowingly, women sang songs of blessing near her homestead, and her mother-in-law began preparing special herbs and milk. The village whispered with joy Cheptu was expecting. Pregnancy and protection. In Kalenjin culture, pregnancy is sacred. Cheptu was advised to avoid public places too often, especially late in the day, and she carried with her a small bead charm given by her grandmother for protection from bad spirits. Her diet changed. She drank mursik, fermented milk, ate soft ugali, vegetables, and traditional herbs. Older women shared wisdom about motherhood, while younger women fetched water and firewood for her. As she grew heavier, she was not allowed to attend funerals or witness blood. Kalenjin customs believed this could bring spiritual harm to mother or child. The birth, when labor began, Cheptu was taken into a warm, quiet hut, usually her mother-in-law's or a special birthing house nearby. Present were only experienced elder women, motiranik, who knew how to assist with birth using herbal medicine and gentle guidance. Outside, men waited anxiously. Kiplangat paced quietly, listening for any sounds. Then came the first cry, sharp, strong, and clear. It was a boy. The elders ululated in celebration. One woman ran out to announce, "Komaset ab Kiplangat, a brave one has arrived," cleansing and naming. On the third day, a cleansing ceremony was held. The baby was bathed in warm water infused with herbs, while the mother was rubbed with special oils to aid healing. A sheep was slaughtered in celebration, and the umbilical cord was buried carefully near the cowshed, a symbolic return to the land. Then came the naming. In Kalenjin tradition, names are often based on time of birth, circumstances, or the family's wishes. Kipchirchir, if the baby came quickly; Kibet, if born midday Kiprono, if born early morning or dusk; Chebet, Chelangat, Chepchumba, for girls born in different contexts. The elders chose Kiptu, meaning born on the way, as labor had begun while Cheptu was walking to the stream, blessings from elders. That evening, elders gathered to bless the baby. An old man sprinkled milk on the baby's forehead while murmuring prayers to Asis, sun deity. "May you grow strong like a bull, brave like the wind, and wise like the river." Cheptu received her own blessing too, praised for her strength and dignity. The older women sang, "Cheptu, O woman of strength, you have opened the gate of lineage." Her mother gifted her a decorated calabash, a sign that she was now a full woman, a mother. Community celebration. Over the next few days, relatives visited with gifts, milk gourds, woven baby carriers, beads, and livestock. Songs were sung, and older women taught Cheptu how to strap the baby on her back with a lasso, how to wean with sour porridge, and how to soothe with lullabies passed through generations. The child was introduced to the cows, an important rite, since cattle are life in Kalenjin culture. It was said, "A child who greets the cow will never go hungry." Importance of firstborn in Kalenjin culture. For a Kalenjin woman, the birth of the firstborn child is a deeply spiritual milestone. It affirms her status in marriage and society, strengthens the bond between in-laws, continues the family and clan lineage, brings honor and blessings to the homestead. Cheptu was no longer just a wife. She was now the bearer of legacy, the mother of the next generation. This is the rite of passage of a Kalenjin woman.